you have to sometimes allow people a second chance. My name is Rob Portman, and I'm delighted to be in Puerto Rico. I've been wanting to come to Puerto Rico for many years, and I finally got the opportunity. I'm a former United States Senator and a former member of the United States Congress, and also worked in a few different administrations in the White House of George Bush I and the White House of George Bush II, where I was the director of the Office of Management and Budget and the director of the was U.S. Trade Representative, so head of the Trade Office. And I'm also now involved in the Portman Center at the University of Cincinnati that I started, that deals with how do you find common ground? How do you come up with solutions to our tough policy problems by working together? That's a great question. Sometimes it is important to step back and to allow things to cool off. I found myself, when I was U.S. Trade Representative negotiating, also in the Congress as I tried to negotiate legislation, sometimes I pushed a little too hard, and I learned my lesson. Sometimes people just aren't ready, but they will be ready, once given more time and opportunity to be more thoughtful about it. And it's hard to know when to do that exactly. But when you hit a brick wall, sometimes think about maybe, you need to change your approach a little bit. And sometimes it's just a matter of giving people time to consider something, to absorb something. So it's a great question. Well, trust is the bedrock of any good relationship. And to get legislation done or to complete a trade agreement, sometimes trust was the most important element. People were willing to take a risk, take a chance on you if they believed that you were doing it for the right reasons, that you were trustworthy. One way to develop trust in the congressional setting, at least, and sometimes as a trade representative, is to take a risk yourself. In other words, to support legislation that you believe is the right thing to do, but it might not be popular in your party. So you might have to take some criticism. And taking those slings and arrows from the other side sometimes enables the other side to say, okay, this person's for real. Like, he or she is willing to take a little risk. I will be too. Because that's what it takes ultimately. You have to be willing to take on issues that might not be popular. You have to be willing to be focused on the objective, which is concluding a negotiation, or in the case of a trade agreement, concluding an agreement. To be able to move forward. And sometimes that's very hard. Oh gosh, being a middle child helped. And my parents were both good at it. My mother had her own very effective means of convincing us as her children, but also her peers in business or in her private life. And again, largely was from that people believed that she was trying to do the right thing, and that she was well-intended, had a good heart. So you develop that. My father, on the other hand, was a little more principled and tough, and but people knew he was fair. So even if they disagreed with him and they knew that what he was asking for was difficult, he was firm but fair. And so I think those are qualities that you would look for to convince people to come your way. Well, just not looking at the person, instead looking at the party label or looking at some broader ideological issue. None of us are perfect. One of the things that I learned during my time in Congress was not to burn bridges. For instance, I might disagree with somebody pretty vehemently on an important issue. It's an issue of the heart even. And yet that same person, sometimes within a short period of time, is essential to making progress on the next issue. And some of my colleagues burned those bridges, refused to work with people because they disagreed on something, previously. It's hard to do, but you have to realize that you have to sometimes allow people a second chance. And it's amazing what you can accomplish when that happens. So that's true with Congress. It's true with life in general.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
De nada.